Grunge music emerged from the Pacific Northwest in the late 1980s, replacing the outrageous styles and slick solos of hair metal with grinding guitars, growling vocals, and ample ennui. The so-called Seattle sound broke into the mainstream via bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Hole, and others, before fading away after just a few years. While the genre's cultural footprint, which, let's be honest, is either a Vans or a combat boot, may have been brief, if you were a dissatisfied young person in 1990s America, grunge was likely part of the soundtrack of your life. Now, more than 30 years after we all pretended not to care, the great pop culture debate is donning our flannel and attempting to name the best grunge song. I want to be the girl with the most cake. And that cake specifically is Carvel's Fudgy the Whale. I'm your host, Eric Resniak. Please help me welcome my panel of slackers for this episode. Our first panelist organized his CDs based on how hard each track made him sigh. It's Jim Zadzik.
Pearl Jam took the top row, then Radiohead required its own emotional wing. But, whatever.
Never mind. Sounds like you could use some lithium, my friend. Next, little fish, big fish swimming in the lakes. Joel Bodecker is here with hot takes.
Down by the water, under the bridge. I'm here to deliver.
Oh, I hope we don't get sued by PJ Harvey, but the effort you put into that intro is honestly diametrically opposed to the slacker ethos. Still, I applaud you.
I'm comfortable with that.
And our last panelist enjoys her fuzz box wrapped in flannel. It's Carissa Claus.
Well, Eric, it is my second favorite way to keep my Big Muff warm.
Gavin Rosdale told me that you enjoy a full bush. Breathe in, breathe out, Carissa. Up in the producer booth, we have Bob Erlenbach, who will be fighting the foo along with us this episode. If you're curious about how we ended up with this Slacker 16, become a Patreon supporter of our little show or listen to the 3-minute preview, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, you can head to this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com to find the listener bracket as well as 16 nominated songs so you can play along with us at home. While you're there, check out some of our other related episodes, including Best Song of 1994, Best Breakup Song, and Best 90s Soundtrack, all available at greatpopculturedebate.com. With that out of the way, let's check out the new releases from Sub Pop and get into these debates. Before we begin, I do want to point out that many of these songs or acts will have some extremely heavy baggage with them, and I don't want to take any of that lightly. Also, consider this a trigger warning, as we are going to be talking about gun violence, suicide, sexual assault, addiction, and some other really difficult subjects, but we have to with this topic. And this is one of our most requested topics, so I'm really excited to be doing it with this panel of 90s kids. First up, the panel unanimously decided to advance One Seed Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Shocker, I know. Which meant that 4-seed Man in the Box by Alice in Chains would remain sealed out of our debate, and that genuinely is shocking because Alice in Chains is considered one of the big four grunge acts. But this is the time where I plead with our listeners, please go fill out the polls on our website, greatpopculturedebate.com. Your votes genuinely do impact what we end up discussing, and I am here to tell you, no Alice in Chains song would have made the bracket had we not put this one on it. I advocated for putting Man on the Box here because if we didn't, it would feel incomplete otherwise, but there were at least 4 other songs by that band that could or should have been here, and they're not, because literally nobody voted for them. Democracy sucks. We learned this. Thank you to the grunge people. Next, in a matchup featuring songs thematically related to guns, the bulk of the panel is pushing forward 3-seed Jeremy by Pearl Jam, but Joel is letting it fly with 2-seed Bullet with Butterfly Wings by Smashing Pumpkins. Joel, can you fake it for just one more show as you stump for Bullet? I absolutely refuse to make a joke relating to Jeremy. Joel, please go first.
Yeah, the reason I picked Bullet with Butterfly Wings is because Jeremy, frankly, is a bit of a bummer of a song, which I know is not strange to the genre, but I was thinking about it and I was like, well, I think I just like this one better. And that was the basic decision I made there. As I did, research and, was thinking about the Pearl Jam of it all, it's hard to deny Jeremy going forward, but I will say about Smashing Pumpkins, they were like a different kind of grunge band. They were clearly influenced by grunge, but they were much more alternative rock. They brought that rage though. It's right there in the song, despite all my rage. And then at the same, and the way that every good grunge song has the balance of, heavy and then smooth and then soft and then hard, the whole thing. That is a beautiful example, this song, of exactly that. So I wanted to give it its love, but no, Jeremy obviously has to go forward, even if I'm not the biggest fan of it.
So, if you don't know, Carissa Kloss is among the biggest Smashing Pumpkin fans I know, along with Andrew Guerrero, currently not on this episode. But I'm surprised to see you voting against the Pumpkins here, Carissa.
I know I feel like a traitor, but I also the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is an amazing album. It's way too polished for me to fit as like a grunge album. I feel like earlier Pumpkins leans more grunge. We have a Siamese Dream song on here, which is questionable. Nothing from Gish, which is much more in the wheelhouse of grunge and the sound, but Billy Corgan was a huge proponent of the Big Muff, the fuzz box, all of that sound. It definitely fit, but by the time they got to Melancholy, things were a lot slicker.
Yeah, it should be noted this was from 1995, which is already late for grunge. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It would make sense that this is more polished.
They had money to make that album.
They sure did. Jim, are you sticking with Jeremy here?
I think for all the same reasons, that era of Pumpkins is further away from grunge. And we'll probably come back to this for some of the other discussions on here as well, that it just isn't, if we're talking about best grunge song, that changes things. It's not our favorite song, not our favorite albums. It's if we're looking in that lens, then Jeremy was just such a big song, such a huge part of the story of grunge.
For sure. So I'm going to continue with Jeremy, and we'll move forward into round two. Next, it's another three-quarter split, as the majority of the panel has one seat Even Flow by Pearl Jam as its odds-on favorite, but Carissa is spitting in a wishing well in the hopes of saving 4-seed Cannonball by the Breeders. Carissa, I know you, little libertine. You've got what it takes to shatter the constraints of Cannonball. Jim, fuck 'em up again as you argue for Even Flow. Carissa, please go first.
I understand that this is going out, and I also don't think it's super grungy. The Last Splash as an album is kind of like a blend of surfer rock and grunge. It's got that little bit of a swing to it. But I just, Kim Deal is my favorite living bass player. Even though she doesn't play the bass in the Breeders. She played the bass in the Pixies. So the Breeders was formed post-Pixies breakup. This album is Kim and her twin sister Kelly Deal, Josephine Wiggs on the bass, Jim McPherson. Josephine Wiggs, we have to talk about. Cannonball starts with like the most iconic bass opening, and then Kim is singing into the harmonica mic for the ooh. It's so fun to watch them play this live, which I've been able to do many times as an adult. It is a great time to be an adult with money because all these 90s bands are still touring and you get to see them. It's awesome. This was the lead single of Last Splash, which came out in 1993. It was their biggest success, but they're still making music. There's been several Breeders albums since this one. Kelly Deal has a side project called Our Ring that's done a couple albums. And just at the end of 2024, Kim Deal released her first solo record, and it's called Nobody Loves You More, and it is so, so good. The music video for this was directed by Kim Gordon and Spike Jonze. So talk about some indie cred. The backing vocals, or Kim has done backing vocals for other bands since then, including Courtney Barnett. She's on a couple songs on Tell Me How You Really Feel. She's one of my favorite lady rockers in general. I love that she's still making music, and this album is still evergreen. It turned 30 a couple of years ago, and they did this really amazing mono audio file reissue on vinyl. I've purchased this album at least 4 times at this point, and I just can't get enough. So I understand it's up against Pearl Jam, which is one of the big 4, but we had to talk about some ladies singing some stuff.
Carissa, I could literally listen to you talk about this stuff all day long. You already know I have a total lady crush on you, but like I'm completely like I'm so into you right now.
It should be noted I am wearing one of the 3 Breeders t-shirts that I currently own, not counting the ones that got bleached and shrunk and whatever over time.
And I don't even care for Breeders generally, but in this case, I'll make an exception. Joelle, are you going to stick with Pearl Jam here?
Yes, sorry. I'm still with Pearl Jam. I do have a new appreciation for the Breeders. For some reason, they passed my awareness in the genre for many years. But when I heard Cannonball, I was like, oh, I know this song. It was one of those moments. So I love it, but Even Flow by Pearl Jam is definitely sticking with me.
Jim, are you sticking with Pearl Jam?
I am, but I also agree that while the Cannonball in my, like when I saw it on the list, I tilted my head a little bit and said like, is that grunge? But also some of these grunge songs I'll only listen to for nostalgic reasons, while Cannonball I'll listen to just because it's so good. And Carissa, thank you. I'm going to do a deep dive with them next time I have some time, because I would love to hear what they've done since then.
Definitely do.
Awesome. You will be hearing a lot this episode. I mean, grunge really only existed for about 5 years in the mainstream, and we're going to be doing a lot of, is it grunge? Is it post-grunge? Is it alt-rock? If it's not from Seattle between the ages of 1989 and 1993, it's just sparkling white disaffection. So that's you go. We will be moving Pearl Jam into the next round. Next, the majority of the panel doesn't want to let the days go by for 2-seed Glycerine by Bush, while I am the Foo pushing the 4-3-seed Everlong by the Foo Fighters. Joelle, cut a path forward for Bush. I will try to spare Everlong a short stint in the debate. I'll go first. I'm not going to make some big impassioned argument here. It's not a song that has deep social meaning. Dave Grohl wrote it as a love song about his then girlfriend, Louise Post of Veruca Salt, who we'll be talking about shortly. And it's technically not quite grunge. Released in 1997 as part of the Foo Fighters' second album, The Color and the Shape, it is technically post-grunge, but it's grungy enough for me. Killer riff. Vocals and lyrics are almost secondary, to be honest with you. This is, for me, an instrumental song first and foremost. It peaked at number 4 on the Billboard US mainstream rock charts and number 42 on the Billboard radio songs, and was certified 2 times platinum. It's successful, and it's one of the Foo Fighters' signature tracks, often used to close out live shows. I'm also voting for it because I never liked Glycerine. I never liked Bush. I never liked Gavin Rossdale's voice. Pretty Man always sounded like he was constipated and trying to make something happen on the John. Just my opinion. With that being said, Carissa, are you going to stick with Bush?
Yes, I am.
Joelle, you sticking with Bush?
Yep.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
Jim, are you sticking with Bush?
I am. I do like that Foo Fighters is on there, but I remember when Dave Grohl put out his first album, and I was like, oh, what's this going to sound like? And it was like, oh, it was different. It was not grunge. It was more manufactured and, processed and tight, which is great, everything he went to do. But I would say, like, even if This Is a Call was on there, I still wouldn't say it moves against Bush.
So we will be moving Bush into round 2. I guess you'll love to see it. Next, the panel has another unanimous decision, this one in favor of 1-seed Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, which meant that 4-seed Down by the Water by PJ Harvey was washed out of our bracket. But Joelle, you wanted to speak on PJ Harvey.
Yeah, I just want to wish it a fond farewell. I would never vote against Soundgarden personally, so that's a spoiler for as we go across this episode. No, this song is it has a really deep meaning if you actually stop and listen to the lyrics, and actually if you read about it, because I was a kid when this song came out, and I was like, it has that great where it's like the sing and then you repeat it sort of thing that happens I don't know, in church and synagogue, but it's in this song. And there's just something so just captivating about it. And it's so kind of dark and dreamy and sad and weird. And yeah, it's a beautiful song, but it's not really grunge in any way, shape, or form. It just is, influenced by the grunge scene, I think. And everyone, if you don't know that song, should just check it out for a hot minute. It's just beautiful.
And I thought I had read that she actually influenced grunge. Like, grunge was partially influenced by PJ Harvey. But am I wrong there? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I'm looking at Carissa.
Carissa, our resident grunge expert.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, we may just strike that from the record if I'm completely making it up, but I swear that's what I read. So
she started grunge. Nirvana just learned it from her. This is what I'm saying today as official.
It's done. I mean, that's how it happened.
A deep dive with her is great too. Like, her music is amazing. And, again, outside of the grunge conversation, it's definitely worth diving in if you're not that familiar with PJ Harvey.
100%. All right, but we will be moving Black Hole Sun into round 2. Next, in another thematically linked pairing that we absolutely did not engineer, 3-seed Doll Parts by Hole is currently edging out 2-seed Heart-Shaped Box by Nirvana. Joelle, tell us why you've got a new complaint, and that is Heart-Shaped Box not continuing into round 2. Jim, yeah, we really want you. We really want you to support Doll Parts, and I do too. Joelle, please go first.
Just got that song fully in my head, which is probably why it's going to go 3-1 here and I'm going to lose this, but it's fine. I chose this song because of it's a permanent fixture in my life. Just that phrase, hey, wait, I've got a real complaint. I don't think that there's a week in my life that's gone by where I haven't used that either out loud or in my head. We actually use it on my other podcast, Pocket Pod, to talk about our complaints at Nintendo. So there you go. Nirvana is Nirvana, and we're going to talk about the Juggernaut later. So I understand why another reason it wouldn't go through, because there's already a more influential song from them on this list. But boy, is it just an addictive song. And it's more, I think there's a bit more musicality to this one because it's a little bit later than, as Smells Like, I was like, what, is that right? Smells Like Teen Spirit is just a lot of emotional, just whining and yelling. Heart-Shaped Box is more musical, and the lyrics are a little bit easier to hear, which is nice.
They are. You can actually understand what he is saying there. Yeah. Carissa, are you sticking with Doll Parts, or are you moving to Heart-Shaped Box here?
Sticking with Doll Parts, I think it's important to have, Hole represented moving forward on this. We already have the Juggernaut of Nirvana. And I think that this Nirvana song falls into the same realm of Bullet with Butterfly Wings. It's later in the career. It's a lot more polished of a song, and it feels less crunchy, grungy, which is sort of part of the aesthetic. So for those reasons, I'm still with Hole here.
Jim, is it going to be Hole for you, or is it going to be Nirvana?
It's going to be Hole, but do we want to talk about the connection of the two songs before it moves?
Please go ahead, take it. Yeah,
this is
go on,
new
take
feature.
Take everything I want you to.
New feature I'd like to introduce. Jim reads Wikipedia. Both the title of the song and the lyrical meaning are inspired by an encounter Love had with Cobain in 1991 prior to their relationship and marriage. Love had sent Cobain a heart-shaped box scented with perfume and inside a porcelain doll, 3 dried roses in a miniature teacup, and a shellac-covered seashells to apologize for their first meeting in May 1991, where Love infamously wrestled with Cobain. The box and the doll parts connected and off of each other in both of these songs. And also, I guess when she performed it after Cobain's death, it kind of had a whole new meaning in performances, bringing up a lot of memories. It's also interesting, too, that the song is composed of only 3 chords, but the lyrics are, I think, the big part there.
Totally. And we didn't talk about MTV Unplugged and this particular song and its very much legendary performance on that show. I think that is a critical part of grunge, and I think we at least have to name it. This is a beautiful song, great musicianship. I agree that it's less grungy than the other Nirvana song on this list. I'm glad we're giving it its moments. It's dried flowers, it's dead flowers, which seems appropriate here. But yeah, I'm also giving it to Hole. So we will be moving Doll Parts into round 2. Next, the panel is evenly split between 1-seed Today by Smashing Pumpkins and 4-seed Pretend We're Dead by L7. Jim, tell us why you'll tear your heart out if Today doesn't last until tomorrow in our bracket. Carissa, make sure that the chances of Pretend We're Dead stay very much alive. Carissa, please go first.
I feel like such a traitor because Siamese Dream was like the second CD I ever bought. And I've also bought that album like 5 times at this point. But Pretend We're Dead is L7 is such a quintessentially grunge band. They were active in the Seattle scene. This is from Bricks Are Heavy, which is from 1992. They were an all-female 4-piece. They were self-described slob girls, and they said, if we're going to be looked at, we're going to be thrashing. They, this song spent 20 weeks on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. It peaked at number 8, produced by Butch Vig of Garbage fame and other productions. I believe he also produced Today, so this is kind of interesting. In 1991, L7 formed Rock for Choice, which was an organization for pro-choice and raised funds for people affected by anti-abortion violence. They put on a show with Nirvana and Hole. They were in the Lollapalooza 1993 lineup. They're also in Serial Mom as the band Camel Lips. Yeah, that's L7.
Yeah.
And there's a famous story where their set was a little bit delayed due to technical difficulties and the crowd got restless, started throwing mud. Danita Sparks turned around, pulled out her tampon, and threw it back into the crowd. So talk about grunge and unsanitary. Here we are.
I live for it. Thank you so much. I'm loving these stories. Jim, talk to us about Today by Smashing Pumpkins.
I think if we're going to pick something from Smashing Pumpkins, something this early, an early hit is one that today is a great representation of that. It is in some ways the song that took them from a cool alternative band into stadium rock level. It is definitely a good representation of their earlier work. I do also agree that, like, is it grunge? Is, definitely what comes later. It's off of that a little bit, but it has the fuzz guitars, the dynamic shifts. It's that alt grunge hybrid. It's definitely it's anthemic. It's great to sing along to. It was definitely a generational anthem to some extent. Definitely on MTV and radio and everywhere you could go. And so it's a big piece of the story of grunge.
For sure. Joelle, where are you? Is it going to be Today or is it going to be Pretend We're Dead by L7?
I do have a quick question. Wikipedia says that song counts as the genre shoegaze or shoegazi. Can someone tell me how that's pronounced?
Shoegaze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It's where my head went. I am voting for L7 because I think earlier on when I didn't know them very well, I went with Smashing Pumpkins. But I prefer L7, and everything Carissa said is right what I'm voting for. Just all of that. All of it.
I'm voting for L7 because I don't think that Today has a tampon story involved in it. And to me, I'm celebrating it. So we are going to do an upset and move Pretend We're Dead by L7 into round 2. Finally, in round 1, the bulk of the panel wants to hit the road again with 2-seed Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots, but Carissa is trying to keep 3-seed Seether by Veruca Salt on a short leash. All of these things I will say to you to defend STP. Carissa, tell us why we can't fight the Seether. Carissa, you go first.
Yeah, I understand this one probably is a little grunge adjacent and moving out. Veruca Salt was a Chicago band. Their name is a Roald Dahl reference. We all know. It was primarily vocals and guitar, Louise Post and Nina Gordon trading off. This was their debut single, and the popularity of this single led them to record American Thighs, their first album, which this song peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Modern Rock tracks, and Paste still calls it number 10 in the best grunge songs of all time, but it's also tends to be branded as bubble grunge, I think probably because it's sung by women and it's catchy. Like, how is Heart-Shaped Box not catchy? And but no one's going to use that term for the male fronted
Sounds
bands.
bubbly to me.
Right? They toured with Hole. They did albums after this. This is such a great intro to a really great 90s alternative band, I think. And as you know, if you listen to the warm-up and follow my arguments, in pretty much every matchup where there's a female-fronted band here, I am choosing them. So here I'm picking Veruca Salt because I think we need to talk about them, but I fully understand why STP is the juggernaut and moving forward.
Jim, are you down with STP? Yeah, you know me. Completely different genre, completely different song.
I do definitely agree that the Seether is such a great song. It's another one that, like, I guess I might fall into that, and I don't think it's because it's only women, but it's danceable. It's the Seether is a more uplifting than some of these grungier, slower, mopier kind of songs. So it didn't occur to me at first, and then I kind of did my rubric, and I was like, oh, hey, that actually is pretty high. It's still not as high as STP, but it's very, very close in terms of musical style and lyrical depth and breakthrough impact and all those things. It's definitely a great one to celebrate.
But you're sticking with Stone Temple Pilots?
Yes.
Okay. Joelle, is it going to be Stone Temple Pilots or is it going to be Seether for you?
The nerd in me wants to see Jim's spreadsheet now, but Bubblegum makes me so mad that I almost want to vote for it, but I'm sticking with STP. But yes,
Bubble grunge.
No, I was reading the definition of bubblegum while we've been talking, and it made me so angry that I was like, out of spite. But no, I can't go against STP and Scott Weiland, and we'll get into that later. So yeah.
I am definitely giving it to STP. We're going to move it forward, but let's pause for a second here and just acknowledge, this was some idiot male music journalist masturbating in his desk, coming up with a million different, like, completely condescending subgenres for grunge, because God forbid we have women doing this.
Well, and you need to label everything. We need to understand what we're up against. We can't just experience music without you explaining it to us first. No, what I'm reading in Wikipedia, literally the phrase disposable pop music made me just want to throw things at things.
As opposed to non-disposable pop music, as opposed to ethically sourced, sustainable pop music.
Pop music contrived and marketed to appeal to preteens. And it's like,
all pop music?
Is that Veruca salt, though? Like,
gross. Gross. Disgusting.
Anyway,
boo. All right, we are moving Stone Temple Pilots into round 2. And that's the end of round 1, folks. We're going to take a quick break to count to 10 with Pearl Jam. We'll be right back.
Want even more great pop culture debate in your life? We're talking behind-the-scenes shenanigans, hot takes fresh off the press, and all the pop culture goodness you can handle? Then you absolutely must follow us on social media. Get your daily dose of debates, polls, and hilarious commentary on all the latest trends. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Great Pop Culture Debate, and we've joined the Blue Sky Revolution at gpcd.bsky.social for even more in-depth discussions. So, whether you're team hashtag pineapple on pizza or team hashtag Die Hard is a Christmas movie, join the conversation. Follow the Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram and Blue Sky and TikTok and all our other socials too, because the debate never sleeps.
And we are back for round 2 of our best grunge song debates. Before we get into the Elite 8, I want our panelists to share their social media, what else they're working on, and any kind of grunge memories they may have had from the 90s. Jim, I'd like you to go first.
All right. Well, I am on Blue Sky. I don't open it or any of the other social media that's posted on the website, but you could direct message me if you really wanted to talk to me, I guess. Memories, definitely. I have a couple. I would say what popped into my head when you asked for that was going into the, like the CD area or CD stores and looking, and there were 2 albums that my brother and I just came across, and we thought like, whoa, this is the craziest thing ever. One was it must have been a bootleg in the store somehow. Like it was a more independent record store, and it was Nirvana like bootleg, and it had the song Pay to Play on it. That was the demo version, which also was in DGC Rarities. And we thought like, oh, this is so cool, we should buy it, and we didn't. And then I think I went back to try to buy it again, and it like disappeared, and it was like this, like, oh, it never happened. It was and the same thing with,
it's still there to this day.
It might be, yeah. And I've looked for like, is there a bootleg of this something? Like it was like a collection of like rare songs or something like that. And then also same thing, like mainstream CD store, but there was like the Toadies first album before their mainstream one, like just kind of, it was gotten demo versions and earlier versions of some of the songs that I did buy, and that got me way too into that band. But that was I think that's what I think of as like hearing it is one thing, but really diving into an album, like I really wonder what this bracket would be if we did best grunge album first song. Like, would that change things?
I think it would. That's a really interesting idea. So if you'd like to have that, please, by all means, let us know. I don't think there's a ton of albums that were in contention. Again, it's a very niche argument, but yeah, awesome idea. Thank you. Joelle, where can people find you? What else are you working on? Grunge memories for you.
People can find me on the Great Pop Culture Debates, various things. I usually share what I'm watching every week on the Culture Club. So get on the newsletter and check out the website and the socials and things. Eric will talk about that. What is my grunge memory? So I was 8 years old in 1991. So sorry to be the youngest one on the pod for a change. Or maybe not for a change. Anyway, so I was 8 years old when I think that the genre started, so I wasn't really aware of it. But around 9 or 10, I was going downstairs at 6 a.m. and watching MTV, and I absolutely just got obsessed with all the grunge songs that were in the top 10 on MTV every weekend. I think my earliest like proper memory of grunge though was probably like everything that happened in 1994. Like from beginning to end, we had like Black Hole Sun Soundgarden, we had Nirvana Unplugged, we had the death of Kurt Cobain, which happened within 7 months of each other invertedly because they recorded it, and yeah, all sorts of other things happened with grunge in 94 that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but it was influential, and that's where my love for grunge started, and it very quickly ended after that because grunge ended after that.
It did, yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much, Carissa Kloss. You are so knowledgeable on this topic. First of all, where can people find you, what you're working on, and your grunge memories?
You can find me at Carissa Kloss on Instagram. You can become a Patreon and find me often on our Discord discussing all things. I'm also, like Joelle, on a lot of the Culture Club picks and things we do. My grunge memories are... So I grew up in a very small town in Wisconsin, and there was a really amazing alternative radio station in Minneapolis. I have vivid memories of wrapping my radio antenna with tinfoil and things to try and get better reception so I could get those songs and bootleg tape them before school so I could listen to things. And when I bought my first little boombox, the second CD I bought was Siamese Dream. So the Smashing Pumpkins have been my favorite band since I was 12 because of that. It was a very formative movement for me. As I was telling Eric, I still wear flannel and Doc Martens on a daily basis. So it imprinted on my soul in a way that not a lot of other culture has.
She does. It's true. Thank you so much, Carissa. So the best place to follow us is on Blue Sky at gpcd.bsky.social or at Great Pop Culture Debate on Instagram or TikTok. You should also make sure to subscribe to our page on YouTube, where we're posting more original video content. But what you really need to do right now is to sign up for our weekly newsletter, new every Tuesday at noon. It tells you about everything that's coming out in pop culture that week. Sign up by finding the link on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com or via our link tree on any of our social media accounts. For me, my big grunge memory, I distinctly remember the day that Kurt Cobain died. I distinctly remember being in high school. I remember people being rocked by it. And to be honest with you, at the time, I was like, I feel like this is a little silly. Like, why is everyone, like, melting down about this? And only as I got older, frankly, did I understand just how impactful he was to Generation X. Like, I think the Beatles are the closest thing we came to someone speaking to a generation of young people. I don't know if we've had someone since, honestly. But people were felt seen by this artist, and to have him ripped away so quickly was really, really traumatic for a lot of people. So that still, I will never forget that. This is also a good time for me to add another trigger warning, as we are going to be talking about some more very disturbing things in round 2. So with that being said, let's get into round 2 so we can harvest what's been growing in our Soundgarden. Oh no, it's corn with a K. Pass. First up, it's another unanimous decision by the panel to move forward 1 seed Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, which means that 3 seed Jeremy by Pearl Jam is out of the bracket, but we have yet to even really talk about Jeremy, and I need to fix that. So Jeremy was written by Eddie Vedder to reference 2 real-life gun tragedies, one a bullied high school student who committed suicide via self-inflicted gunshot in front of his class, and the other about a kid that Vedder himself went to school with who brought a gun in and shot up a classroom. So you can't talk about Jeremy the song without talking about Jeremy the video, which was both praised for its incredible artistry and impact, but also incredibly controversial. And in fact, not just controversial, people basically, and I'm one of them, misinterpreted the ending of this video for many years. So I'm not going to go into the whole thing. We will put it onto this page on our website, greatpopculturedebate.com. It is about a bullied teen, and it ends with him going in front of his classroom. And you see him reach into his pocket, and in the edited version of the video, in the original version, you see him take the gun out and put it to his mouth. In the edited version of the video, you don't see him put the gun to his mouth. The next thing you see is a flash, and then it pans to his classmates, frozen, covered in blood. I and many other people thought that the implication was he shot his classmates. In fact, no, he killed himself, and basically his blood is on the hands, literally and figuratively, of his bullies. It was a video that I actually felt uncomfortable watching as a teenager. The song made me uncomfortable. There is something about it that is haunting, that is disturbing. And it's so important to remember, and I'm sorry, I know I'm going long here. This song was released years before Columbine happened. This was before school shootings were just a thing that happens in America, and it makes me sick to even say that statement, right? It was shocking. It was disturbing. It made me physically uncomfortable as a teenager who was in school at the time to think about, oh my God, this could actually happen. Someone could do this. It has now become actually a conversation piece for gun control, and it has become kind of a calling card against gun violence. But at the time, it really upset a lot of people, and it was forever kind of linked with the song. So it both is this incredible work of art talking about this topic, and also at the same time something that has, at least at the time, was very much derided for its aggressiveness. That being said, it is a incredible work of art. It's a song that makes you uncomfortable to listen to it, but it perfectly captures the reality of what he's singing about. It's terrific. I think it's only going out because it's up against Nirvana here. Am I correct, Carissa?
Yeah, I can't vote for it over Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah. Joelle?
Yeah, the same. Like I can hear that song the moment someone says it, like the opening hum, you know, like, I mean, it's a very impactful song, but yeah, no, it's not. It Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Jim, sticking with Nirvana here.
Agreed. I'm glad there's another Pearl Jam on the bracket, but you can't say no to Teen Spirit.
You can't. Speaking of which, let's move on. I think we may have another unanimous decision from the panel with Even Flow by Pearl Jam, a 1-seed, Burning Bush, and 2-seed Glycerine out of our debate. But the panel wanted to say a few words about Glycerine since I just shit on it in the first round and we didn't actually talk about it. Joelle, you had some thoughts?
Not too many, and I'm going to let Jim and Krista take it from me. But it's just, the song was popular because it was Gavin Rossdale. I'm certain of it. Like, yeah. It definitely had some catchiness, you know, Don't Let the Days Go By. You could just, you know, sing right along with that that musical section of it. You know, in 30-year plus hindsight, it's fine. It's not a song that has the longevity that, frankly, most things from Pearl Jam to me have. So
yeah. Carissa, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I agree with Joel. It probably was the Gavin Rossdale of it all, but I was also like 13 at the time, so I was all in on that. And I have a very clear memory of when they were on SNL in 1995. You know how they do the little couple second previews during the week of like, yeah, and our musical guest is this. So whoever they were talking to said, "Oh, I love Bush," and Gavin Rossdale said, "I do too." And I was so scandalized as a preteen by that statement, and it's stuck with me for years ever since. So yeah, but it's up against Pearl Jam here, and I can't. There's no way to advocate for Glycerine over Even Flow.
Glycerine! Jim, you were going to do Jim Reads Wikipedia about Glycerine,
yes,
correct?
The second installment of Jim Reads Wikipedia. This is actually great coming out of the break, and as we go to the end, this quote is from Accidental Revolution, The Story of Grunge by Kyle Anderson. It's about the entire album, 16 Stone by Bush. The 12 songs on Bush's 16 Stone sound exactly what grunge is supposed to sound like, while the whole point of grunge was that it didn't really sound like anything, including itself. Just consider how many different bands and styles of music have been shoved under the grunge header in this discography alone, and you realize that grunge is probably the most ill-defined genre of music history. I feel like it fits, but it's also not the best, I suppose.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. The more manufactured, the less grunge, essentially. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and let those days go by, and Glycerine is out of the bracket. Finally, an actual debate with 1 seed Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden currently generating its own gravitational pull at the expense of 3 seed Doll Parts by Hole. Carissa, see if you can get Doll Parts to live through this. I will try to wash away the rain with Black Hole Sun. Carissa, please go first.
I think a lot of the important things about Doll Parts have already been said, but I think it's important to note that Hole was a Seattle band. They definitely fit in the grunge time and space. This isn't sparkling adult alternative. This song is from 1991, and it peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Modern Rock charts, which was Hole's highest charting in the U.S. song ever. And we've made references to Doc Martens and flannels, but we haven't talked about the Kinderhore look, which Courtney Love completely spearheaded, the baby doll dresses and the ripped fishnets, and how iconic the more feminine looks of the grunge era were as well. She is emblematic of all of these things, and as well as problematic in a lot of ways, especially post all of this. Deserves a lot of flowers here. She is the girl with the most cake, I think, and even if she's going out to the black hole, she deserves to be here.
Yeah, if you listen to the warm-up, I talked about how Live Through This is my favorite grunge album, and I love Hole. I love Courtney Love. They are icons to me. I felt like now listening to the song, when she said, "Someday you will ache like I ache," it was like she was pulling 47-year-old Eric into her being. And that's what I say now every day to someone younger than I am. Someday you will ache like I ache. Enjoy youth. But that being said, sadly, it's up against Black Hole Sun, and Black Hole Sun is an incredible piece of music. It is really, I think, so emblematic of what grunge is and could be. Tremendous musicianship and absolute fucking nonsense, right? Like, even like the origin of this song, it was written in something like 15 minutes when Chris Cornell was just driving back and he half heard a news anchor say something about a black hole, and he's just like, yeah, that's cool, and just like kind of wrote it while driving in the car, and boom, it's done. But yet the actual instrumentals on this are unbelievable. It's so good. It is both like weirdly transcendental, it's weirdly trippy, it's haunting, there's something about it that feels aggressive and like almost like it's tearing into you. It's uncomfortable to listen to, and that's great grunge music. And we have to talk about the video again. Like, you can't separate the two. The suburbanites that are like morphing into these horror shows as like everything comes down. There's a nihilism that's baked into this that is just so perfectly grunge, and I can't not vote for it. Joelle, is it going to be Black Hole Sun or is it going to be Doll Parts for you?
I just want to, one thing that was interesting. So actually Doll Parts was released in 1994. It was written in 91. So you're right, Chris, on that one. But these were on at the same time. So it's actually interesting. Like, these were showing up on MTV and on the charts at the same time. I will say both have icon status in this debate and in just the 90s history. It's going to be Black Hole Sun for me, and that crispy fried music video. I don't know what was going on. It was amazing.
Amazing. Jim, is it going to be Black Hole Sun or Doll Parts?
I agree with everything said. I feel like, but Soundgarden is the one to move forward, even though they both have a place here at the end.
I agree. All right, so we will be moving Soundgarden into the final 4. Finally, in round 2, it's 4-seed Pretend We're Dead by L7, Our Cinderella Story, and 2-seed Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots. I'm just going to go around the horn here. Jim, is it going to be an Interstate Love Song or Pretend We're Dead for you?
Interstate Love Song for me.
Joelle.
I'm leaving on a Southern train. STP.
And Carissa, how about you? Are you going to vote for Stone Temple Pilots on this one, or are you going to stick with L7?
I'm sticking with L7 here because I think a Seattle band, 4 women with matted hair, very grungy. They fit the mold. And Pretend We're Dead is such an iconic song that it is the title of this fantastic book that came out last year, or this year, I think, by Tanya Pearson, who's a music journalist who's our age and lived through the scene. She was in a bunch of bands, which she talks about in the book. The subtitle is The Rise, Fall, and Resurrection of Women in Rock in the 90s, and it is fantastic. It is full of interviews with people from L7, Tanya Donnelly from Belly and Flaring Muses, the Veruca Salt people, Josephine Wiggs from The Breeders, and really goes into how these bands came about, how they were treated by mainstream, how they were not played on radio because there was apparently a limit on how many female bands they could play per hour. And then the Woodstock 99 of it all, which was part of the downfall of the women feminist scene that we were seeing before that. So still with L7 here, understand that they're going out and why, but this is my hill to die on.
I love that we are putting kind of a name to the fact of the just misogyny that was baked into the music industry at that time and is still very much baked in. But I'm glad that we're speaking on it, and I do encourage people to check out that book. That being said, I am afraid that we are pushing our last female-fronted band out of the bracket, as I'm also giving it to Stone Temple Pilots, and Interstate Love Song will continue into the final round. And with that, we have our final four, folks. We're going to take a quick break to unplug. We'll be right back.
My fellow pop culture enthusiasts, the fate of the cinematic universe, the very fabric of fandom itself hangs in the balance. Are you tired of your voice going unheard? Do you have strong opinions of the merits of the prequel trilogy? Do you believe that pineapple belongs on pizza? Well, I do. It's time to make your voice count. Visit greatpopculturedebate.com and cast your vote in our crucial pop culture polls. Your opinion matters. Your vote can shape the future of fandom. Don't let others decide for you. Go to greatpopculturedebate.com and make your voice heard. Together, we can build a better pop culture world.
And we are back with the final four of our best grunge song debate. At this point in the show, I like to take a step back and see if it shook out where I expected it to. I also like to add at this point that no matter which song wins, we're celebrating all of them, and I hope that nobody gets salty about what comes next. We have 4 one seeds, and I would say that they are 3 out of 4 of the giants of grunge. The one that's not represented is Alice in Chains. Instead, we have Stone Temple Pilots in their place, which is not a bad substitute, I think. So we have Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana versus Even Flow by Pearl Jam, Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots. We have barely talked about at least half of these songs. So as we jump into them, I am going to go ahead and ask people to share their thoughts. Smells Like Teen Spirit versus Even Flow. I would like to start with Carissa. Where are you on this one?
I'm with Smells Like Teen Spirit here. This is, when I think about grunge songs, this is the top of my list. I have a visceral memory of the first time I heard this song. My cousin was visiting from Florida. He was a couple years older than me, and he played this on a jukebox, and I was like, wow, what is that? Because it sounded really great. And he said, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I immediately sniffed my armpits because I was 12 and I was wearing Teen Spirit deodorant. I was partial to the rose scented, but I had no idea, and he had no idea that it was a deodorant. So this was a moment for both of us. And since then, I'm sure you've all heard the story of Kathleen Hanna from Bikini Kill had written Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit because they thought that as a deodorant brand name was so funny. And Kurt didn't know it was a deodorant, and he just thought it was, actual teen spirit statement, ironically posed. So, I can't forget that story. It's Teen Spirit for me.
Thank you, Joelle. Is it going to be Smells Like Teen Spirit, or is it going to be Even Flow?
I also once smelled like teen spirit, not Team Spirit. I don't have that. I just the one thing about Pearl Jam is I think all their famous songs are like frankly, like not their actual best songs.
Sure.
And that's actually probably the same thing with Nirvana too. If we're talking grunge, all the mainstream ones are less cool, you know? So it's a tough one, but I think Smells Like Teen Spirit is the better song of the two. Yeah.
Jim, Smells Like Teen Spirit or Even Flow?
I'd like to go with the third and final episode of Jim Reed's Wikipedia.
Please be my guest.
I think it's a good for now we're in the last round. It's a good. It's really good to look at it through this lens. VH1 writer Dan Tucker feels that different grunge bands were influenced by different genres. While Nirvana drew on punk, Pearl Jam was influenced by classic rock, and that sludgy, dark, heavy bands such as Soundgarden and Alice in Chains had a sinister kind of metal tone. And I think that I wanted to pull that out because I think that it's hard to put Nirvana against Pearl Jam in the world of grunge because in my brain they're like the two sides for me. Well, Soundgarden is there too, and I think the album 10 also is interesting in the sense that it does have that classic rock kind of drum sound that's different than all their other albums that follow. So it's a transition as well. But it's, you know, if I go to my metrics, if I go to my rubrics that I've made here, Teen Spirit does just edge above Pearl Jam.
Jim, I don't think you've actually told us what the rubrics are, have you?
Oh, well, let me tell you. Here we go.
I asked earlier. I must hear about this.
Yes, everything's scored out of 4. There's, I realized, having a experience as an educator, an English teacher, I should be able to do rubrics, right? And so I have categories of authenticity, breakthrough impact, musical style, lyrical depth, and cultural legacy. And
I'll take potpourri for 500, Alex.
Exactly. Yeah.
That sounds very similar to what I did for the Hamilton episode, by the way.
Yeah.
I numbered every song with,
I was like,
with
I'm
my
not going to be
ratings.
able, because it's those are the things that I think make up what grunge is. But then you start picking these songs, these top 4 or 5, and they are, it's hard to tell. Like if you're, because you could be, I'm all in with Pearl Jam style or Soundgarden style. And
Sure.
I started there, like a lot of these other bands, I was like, I don't know if they fit. So Even Flow got a 19 out of 20 if you had them up. And well, Teen Spirit gets 20 out of 20, in my opinion.
20 out of 20. 20 out of 20.
It's tens across the door, right?
10s across the door. I'm giving it to Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana here. We've barely really talked about it, but sorry about it. When I think of grunge, it's the first thing that comes to my mind. And fun fact, initially this episode was going to be called Best Grunge Anthem, and there is no more anthemic song than Smells Like Teen Spirit. It defined this generation. It defined this genre. So we are going to move into the final 2. Next is Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden versus Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots. I'd like to start with Joelle. Where are you on this one?
I don't know.
We barely talked about Interstate Love Song.
I know. Yeah, we could talk about that. One thing I noticed, by the way, is that the final 4, the first 2 are 1991 songs, and the second 2 are 1994 songs, and that's just
the
interesting.
beginning and the end.
Exactly.
Alpha and Omega.
It's the
right there.
bookends. Yeah. STP, Interstate Love Song. We talked about it a lot in the 1994 song episode, didn't we? And I'm remembering that now, and we had such a love for it in that episode. And here, we barely talked about it. I don't remember anything what we said a year ago in that, but no, it's a beautiful song. It's probably too beautiful to be grunge, which is maybe where I'm gonna fall towards Soundgarden versus STP. But it's more melodic than the average grunge song. I think it's a little bit more even keeled and a lot less like ups and downs the way some of the signature grunge songs are. So. I think I'm leaning towards Soundgarden, but just with like an asterisk to that. I love STP. At least I did at the time.
Jim, is it going to be Black Hole Sun or Interstate Love Song?
I think STP is like grunge flavored classic rock, while Soundgarden is just full on grunge. So I would be going with Soundgarden.
Carissa, is it going to be Black Hole Sun or Interstate Love Song?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I love the album, the STP album that this is on, but I think the more grungier STP stuff is like Scott Weiland through the megaphone in the microphone, This song it's too pretty. It's kind of like the melancholy and the infinite sadness argument of earlier. And Black Hole Sun is just, it's kind of dark. It feels moodier. And this is all, this STP song is one of their sweetest anyway. So yeah, Soundgarden here for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Soundgarden too. It is menacing in a way that is just genuinely uncomfortable, which to me is part of grunge. The other fun thing I'll say about Interstate Love Song is I never realized how few lyrics this song has. It's literally
It's like 10 words, right?
two verses that are very short, and then the same verse sung identically 2 times. That's it. It also apparently started its life as a bossa nova song, which delights me to find out. But
I must know more.
All of these things say to me, all of these things I say to you, I'm taking it out of the competition, and we're going to move forward Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden, which gives us a final 2 of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. I feel like this is the correct final 2. I would like to start with Jim. Is it 20 out of 20 Smells Like Teen Spirit, or what score did Soundgarden get?
Oh yeah, let me look. I forget. Let's see. 19 out of 20, which is, I mean, where I was leaning anyways. I do, I think they're both great, but definitely Teen Spirit defined the genre. The loud soft, it's the blueprint for all the others in some ways. Even if they weren't trying to copy it, it is the one that kind of gelled what grunge was.
Yeah. Joelle, is it going to be Black Hole Sun or Smells Like Teen Spirit?
Both of these have the most iconic music videos of the genre, I think.
Totally.
I would just put them both at the top of that list. Black Hole Sun being, we already talked about it, that weird I use it crispy because it looks like everything's just overblown and over saturated. Yeah. And then Smells Like Teen Spirit is like the smoky gym. And I actually on Wikipedia they had a little screenshot of the casting call, and they only wanted people that are 18 to 25 that can present as high schoolers. That was what they wrote in the thing. And I was like, that's good. That's probably good for liability's sake. With both of those, like, if someone said, what is grunge? Like, those 2 songs are immediately coming to mind. So it's really hard. But I think, with all of my, like, reading I was doing ahead of time, every single thing rolls back up to Nirvana. It constantly was saying, like, Nirvana, like, inspired all of these other bands to do more of the things that they did. And, everyone was evolving because grunge was not a static point in time or static thing. And so the fact that Nirvana seems to have been this like tent pole or whatever, we started it and then everyone's going to evolve from it. It's the pepperoni argument, but it just feels like the right one.
Chris, is it going to be the pepperoni argument for you? Is it going to be Smells Like Teen Spirit or Black Hole Sun?
You mentioned that Smells Like Teen Spirit is the song of the generation, and the biggest sales week for Nevermind was after Christmas in 1991, when all of the kids used their gift cards to buy this album, which their parents weren't going to buy for them for Christmas. It was the biggest, this was the song of the generation. This was Kurt Cobain trying to write a Pixies song, Loud, Quiet, Loud. It's produced by Butch Vig. It's such a great single. It's such a great song. The video is iconic. And like you said, it all rolls back up to this. So it Smells Like Teen Spirit for me.
I am old enough to remember life pre-Nirvana, and I'm old enough to have experienced life at Nirvana, and then I'm old enough to experience life post-Nirvana. It was like they flipped it on a switch and was like, grunge is here. It was like, boom, just like that, out of nowhere. I distinctly remember. And like hairband, gone. It's like completely erased in like one day. And then when he died, the light switch turned off and grunge disappeared. Like the genre lived and died with Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. It did, whether you like it or not. There are still bands that produce music after his death, but it wasn't grunge. And I think it is... One thing I will say is, before I wrap up, is how prescient a lot of these bands were about so many things. We talked about the gun stuff with Jeremy, but these, I feel like the grunge, when you listen to it now, they saw what was going on in society way before I did in my little cow town, but like they saw it very clearly and they were talking about it and they were pissed off about what they saw was coming. And I feel like we're living in the end game now. And if anything, I wish I was more angry in the 90s because they had their finger on the pulse, and I'm really think it's pretty cool that we got to live through that. Not to bring it back to whole, but there you have it, folks. Our pick for the best grunge song is Smells Like Teen Spirit. Do you agree? Do you think, well, whatever, never mind? Tell us how you really feel by leaving a comment on this episode at greatpopculturedebate.com, or find us on Blue Sky or Instagram, where while you're there, make sure that you subscribe and follow the podcast so you can hear about what new debates are coming soon, vote in open polls, and even decide which topics we tackle next. I want to say thank you to my panel. Today really was the greatest day I've ever known, and thank you for listening. If you loved what you heard, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get even more exclusive content and you get episodes a whole day early. We hope you have a good one, and remember, everyone is entitled to their wrong opinion. I told you from the start just how this would end. It was obviously always going to be Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. I'm sorry, it just was going to be.